Episode 3 had a hard task in following one of the best episodes of House of the Dragon yet, and whilst there were some very enjoyable moments, I was still left in a very weird place with this episode, and that ending especially, as well as the other major changes from the source material. Welcome everyone. If you're new to the channel, I cover House of the Dragon and A Song of Ice and Fire regularly, so be sure to subscribe so you never miss an upload. Now, it's took me a few days to put into words exactly how I feel about episode 3 and those big changes from the book. We'll start with the end scene though, as the whole fandom is talking about it. In isolation, it was a decent episode, I think. Nicely shot, good acting from Alison, and I dig any mention of the prophecy stuff from episode 1, as I know it's come from directly from George, and it's probably a spoiler for either Winds or A Dream of Spring. It also clears up the storyline from episode 8 last season and draws this plot point to a close, at least for Rhaenyra and Alicent, as we're likely to have Jace find out about the Song of Ice and Fire sometime this season. With that said though, I have to compare this ending to the book and why it still felt off for me. 3 key points summarise this, and there will be some minor spoilers coming up for the book and future seasons. Now, firstly, this end scene isn't mentioned in Fire and Blood at all, and whilst this episode changes that, it also felt far too early to have them reunite this season. Besides, it actually makes no logical sense to me to ask for peace now, not after decisions Alicent has been a part of that have stripped Rhaenyra of her throne, not to mention children have died on both sides, and also war has basically already begun, with Cole, Otto and Daemon putting plans in motion already. So I'm unsure what Rhaenyra and Alicent would have been able to actually achieve if they did agree to peace. Also, secondly, I can't help feel again, it was far too easy to get close to what is effectively a member of the royal family, especially what happened in Blood and Cheese in episode 1. Yes, Mysaria tells Rhaenyra, play by play, what will happen, but surely Alicent and the rest of the Greens would be on high alert with more personal security following the events of episode 1. Why wouldn't Alicent have just let Rhaenyra walk off when she could have just captured her there and then and ended the war completely? And lastly, fast travel is in full swing again to advance these new plot points, and it's given me really strong Beyond the Wall vibes, and I hate being reminded of anything related to season 7 or 8 of Game of Thrones. Speaking of which, and I know this isn't to do with the ending, but it's another one of those changes from the book, those dragon eggs have been confirmed as Daenerys' eggs, and that is a massive change from Fire and Blood, which annoyed me to hell, as the story is way cooler in the book. We don't need all of these Game of Thrones references all the time at all, none of them. And it just reminds me of one criticism I actually have about the prophecy, that in the show at least, we know the dragons and the Targaryens have basically got nothing to do with killing the Night King. So, for show-only fans and canon, the prophecy stuff means nothing. I can't help but sense the cracks are beginning to show with the quality of the writing and the logic behind the storylines, with all of these new scenes being added to fill in the gaps that the book left out. 2 out of 3 of the episodes so far have been really strong, yet let down by a poorly adapted finish or by flat-out breaking canon. I'm digging the slow pace, I'm digging the Game of Thrones vibes, but I just want it to make sense. With that said, the episode wasn't all doom and gloom. Daemon and Harrenhal were the standout positives for me, both which look cool as hell. That armour and Caraxes in particular look badass. And that ending aside, most scenes were decent as well in this episode. We had Gwaine Hightower introduced, who looks like a great addition. The Brackens versus the Blackwoods battle, albeit I would have liked to have seen more from that fight. What we got though was really good, and more book lore from Ulf the White was really interesting. Overall, whilst episode 2 was a tough act to follow, this episode let the fans down all on its own. Season 2 in some ways is failing to live up to the usual high standards by introducing new illogical scenes and storylines, changing important moments from the book, or giving us unnecessary scenes that neither I, a book fan, nor a casual viewer needs to see. I hate to say it, but this episode feels like a 6, maybe a 7 out of 10 at a push, and here's to hoping that episode 4 revives some of those high points that we've seen in episodes 1 and 2 so far, and there's no more critical changes from the source material. If you enjoy the content, consider dropping a like and subscribe so you never miss an upload. Catch you on the next one. Cheers.